You know you gotta do this. You know they love torturing you. Just man up and power through October. Just power through October. I'm gonna do this though. Might as well do it with a fresh face. Might as well. Clean shave makes the man, I guess. Fucking hate my life. It is October 1st. I know what this year always brings me. There is always hell. There is always insanity. I'm going to open my eyes, and in front of me will be a decent gun. In front of me will be a gun that will not cause me to be angry. Slightly. When I open my eyes, there will not be anything to cause me any sort of fucking pain. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, UKARMs. That's a starter. At least the bastards gave me an AK. Gentlemen, and welcome to another October. For those of you who don't know, of course, October is usually a year that, a month, that I am subjected to the worst the airsoft industry has to offer. All in the vain attempts to entertain you, the sniveling hyenas who enjoy me being tortured. Hell, the Poles, which, by the way, the first option was meant as a joke. Yet you, Parana, had to go and say, nay, we want you to suffer, Al, we enjoy your suffering. Makes me question my audience. But, thanks to AP81, because the first option was supposed to be a joke, we were going to review the JG, or a Golden Eagle Folding Stock M4, which would have been the subject of a Magpul build, which would have been a pistol caliber carbine build, hopefully enough. We'll get another big donation that'll come next month in November. We can build a pistol caliber carbine off of the Golden Eagle Folding Stock M4. I hope. But, until then, we have to subject ourselves to the mediocre, the monotonous, the downright deplorable that the airsoft industry has to offer. And no, I do not speak of Crytek and the proprietary parts. Nay, do I speak of course, the UKARMs, be it... Thanks, Rev Nation, for your contributions to my suffering. Nay, ladies and gentlemen, what I speak of is, of course, the guns that go under the radar. which is why this month of October will be dedicated to the guns that not a lot of people are talking about, but they should be talking about. Today's month theme will be the hidden gems. And hopefully we'll get through this month without me losing my absolute mind, being a drunkard, or accidentally dropping a WMD upon myself. I hope. What is a day? Today, ladies and gentlemen, the gun we are looking at is the JG AK-74, the D-74, folding stock, solid folding stock, marketed by Well and distributed by UKARMs. Now, if you had not seen my AK-12 video, which, ironically enough, the advertisement for this actually does have it on the box itself, which I do find rather lovely. I do love it. Look at that. Look at that. We have the D12, which is the AK-12, and then we have the D47, which is the AK-47, although really this is just an AKM, an AK-74, considering the bulge on the handguard, the 74 styled muzzle device, and the magazine. If this was supposed to be the 47, we'd have no muzzle device on the end, instead just an end cap. We wouldn't have this bulging handguard right here, instead we have just a standard handguard. And the magazine would be a 7.62x39, not a 5.45 magazine. But then again, we can't expect them to do all the work, now can we? Now, ladies and gentlemen, at $83.95, we take a look at this. And before we even get into it, let's go ahead and take a look at the box art, shall we? The box art is rather plain, utilitarian at most, and that is something I find rather interesting, to say the least. But then again, that is how it is. Oh, false advertising by the way. Apparently, the AK they're using is not the one we see. That is interesting, especially halfway fucking through. Let's go ahead and pull this around, because you gotta see this for yourself. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So, looking at this right here, from this panel over to this panel, this is not the AK that we know. I mean, just take a look at that. We have here a JG AK with a silver bolt. We have here another JG AK with a smooth gray upper, and right here we have the wiring at the front instead of where the wiring actually is. And then we have, of course, a ergo grip right here. Another ergo grip right here as well, right there. Just, that is rather interesting, especially considering what we actually have on the gun. Well, speaking of the gun itself, before we even get into it, what is inside the box, you may ask? Well, inside the box, we get, of course, a wall charger, a battery, which is 8.4 volt, 8.4 volt, let's see, where's the information at? Where is the information? Let's see here. 8.4 volt, 2.5, no, 2/3, 650 mAh, a nickel carrier battery. And sadly, the battery itself is actually crooked. That's a crooked end. That is not good. We will not be using this battery for the testing, of course. Instead, we'll be using the best performing battery of Titans. And yes, of course, I know everyone's going to lose their minds. We will get to that when we get to the shooting test. Don't get me wrong. Either way, though, we are not using that battery. But before we even get to the gun, let's go ahead and move on to the instruction manual. What I love about these guns is the instruction manual. And the instruction manual is oh so entertaining. So let's go ahead and open the Ziploc baggie, which I do recommend you keep for all loose screws and parts and all that goodness, yes. So the instructions themselves are rather entertaining, because there's always that lovely bit of English. But again, I do love how we have an advertisement for all the AKs that come from this company. And the instructions, of course, are once again very entertaining. But this is where the false advertising kicks in. Because it says the battery is wired towards the rear, not the front, like the instructions told us they would be on the box. So, false advertising much, as well as the type of AK we have on here, or they're just plain lazy? I don't know. But either way, let's go ahead and take a look here. Any good Chinglish I can find? So far, none. We have the standard aim at target, aim at the target, press the trigger. That's your standard one of Chinglish. The fire selector lever to semi-full auto. Yes, we have that. Not a lot of bad Chinglish in the inside. Let's check the back, because the back always appears to have Chinglish on these types of guns. Let's check the Chinglish, shall we? Name of the parts. Ooh. Ooh, this should be fun. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We have, of course, the buttstock, the rear sling hook, rear sling hook, select a lever, in parentheses, switch, upper wood, underside wood, driving lever, driving lever for the charging handle. Oh dear God. I'm not the only one seeing this. Look what they call the muzzle device. I told you, the Chinglish on here, the flash hider is not a silencer. And then we get to this. The gun body button. Buttstock unload knob. Buttstock button. Gun body cover. Trigger. Buttstock fixed hook. Rear target sight. Front target sight. Front sling hook. I'm not joking on this. Fucking look at this yourself. Pause the video and look at this yourself. Do you see? This is entertaining. I'll let the comments section, you the comments section, have your fun with all of this. Just have your fun. Have your fun. Either way, though. So, oh, and I got love the common sense one here. Safety setting, the trigger cannot be pulled. When you are not firing the gun, one word, or during storage, always set the selector to the safe position. No shit. Fully automatic. Automatic firing. The gun will fire automatic while the trigger remains pulled. Again. No shit. And then semi-automatic. The gun will fire one shot each time the trigger pulls. So, aside from the safety, not a lot of Chinglish on this. Not a lot of hilariousness on this. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the gun, shall we? The gun in question is all polymer, to a degree. The trigger is metal, the sling point here is metal. This back here might look like metal, but in reality is not. It is actually the polymer base plate that I had to take off and paint myself because it was entirely wood, as is, or at least Bakelite, as you could say, but this is supposed to be wood. The handguard here is supposed to be Bakelite, not wood, but we'll give them a pass on that because it does look good the way it does. This, however, we cannot look past. The handguard here is not supposed to be wood. It's supposed to be black. It is not correct. I can assure you we will be fixing that problem when we take this gun apart and we upgrade it. Because the barrel itself, the inner barrel, comes to about here. Which is a short inner barrel, and one that cannot be allowed to continue. The magazine itself, while many of you already are questioning it, is not Bakelite, it is painted orange. I did not like the standard black, so I decided to go orange. Try and paint up as Bakelite as possible, and I dare say I did a decent job with it, but that's how it is. Moving the magazine over here. The dust cover. This is where things get kind of fun for me. The dust cover itself is metal. I replaced the polymer one with a metal one, simply for durability's sake. And the the cover here is actually much more enlarged, but pushing that forward and bringing this up, we of course come to the wires, which are back here instead of up here like you would normally see. Now this does hinder some issues with the ability to do what needs to be done, so yeah, that's definitely going to be a fun one to work with. But either way. The big one, though, is the charging handle. When I did have this right here, the plate, which keeps the battery on here, this was off, unaligned in the unboxing video that you saw. And when I put the metal cover on here, which, let's see here if we can get it back on here. When I had the metal cover on here, and I had, let's go ahead and, by the way, pressing the button here actually folds up the buttstock, like that. When I had the metal cover on here, when pulling this, well, holy shit, I almost did that. But, you know, when pulling the charging handle back, it actually would lock the charging handle in place, giving me a sort of Garand feel, so in a literal sense I could have it locked in place. But that was mostly because of the polymer battery tray being up in a position which kept it locked open like a Yugo AK, which, for those of you who don't know, Yugo AKs have a charging hand, a bolt hold open built into the magazines, so you know, when you fire, the bolt is held open, and you'd have to literally remove the magazine for the bolt to go home. Speaking of the bolt, even though if it is polymer, still a nice, satisfying bit to it. The fire selector is as your standard AK fire selector, full auto and semi-auto, which, it being a standard fire selector pattern, means you can turn this into a sleeper gun. And looking at the internals themselves, they are all version 3. Meaning that you can turn this into a sleeper gun, but more at the end of the video. Until then, of course, we have the full metal outer barrel and the polymer faux front sight post with the 74 style muzzle brake, which has a wide open fucking end. And I'm not going to deny that JG, in my extension, well, are a lazy bunch of sons of bitches. Because they are. JG and, well, are partners in this little Ponzi scheme, essentially. The fact that they have to, like with the AK-12, of course, the fact they're going through not one, but 2 other companies to give us this lovely little gem of an AK right here at the sub-$90 range is, in of itself, a fun little, somewhat distraction from the monotonous that we know. That is there, though. I've talked, and my only issues with it is that they could have done better. But we will get to that once we know the performance. So, let us go to the firing data and see what we're dealing with. We have the JG-AK-74, the Well D-74, hooked up to a Titan 11-1 light bulb. Before everyone loses their shit over me, and yes, I see you, OC Airsoft, understand now I'm going by the product page, I'm going by the product description, I'm going by product information. If you have any other information about the Titan lipos not being lipos, then please do respectfully inform us in the comments section in a nice, calm, civil comment. We don't need another AP81 incident where someone pisses off Tony and I have to actually review shit guns. Moving on now, let's go ahead and bring it down to semi-auto and see how she sounds. Okay, full auto. Respectful, respectful. Now, I'm grabbing a mid-cap magazine, which, yes, I know the mid-cap magazine is going to be 7.62x39, so technically speaking, this would be a 7.62x39 AK with a 74 style muzzle brake. I understand that. I get that. But until I get 545 Bakelite mid-caps in, I have to use the 7.62x39. Donate to our PayPal down below if you want to help out in acquiring 545 magazines. Moving on. I have the Crony here. I have a BB catcher here. Eye protection might be a good thing. The BBs I'm using, of course, to alleviate AP81s, very much so, are e-bike .2s. I will be using e-bike .2s for the remainder of these tests throughout October to alleviate AP81. Own discretion. So yes, let's go ahead and try it out. I have the chronograph here. At the end of the barrel, let's see what we're looking at. Putting on semi-auto might actually work. Okay, firing. 220, 240, 251, 245, 249, 246, 216, 246, 242, and 248. Ranging at 0.57 joules. So it's under 300. It's honestly not too bad, considering this is a full-size V3 gearbox in this thing. So, yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Let's go ahead, take it outside, and get a distance test, shall we?
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
You're reaching deep inside you. Go! For things you've never known. It's been tough, rough going, but you haven't gone alone.
We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Be all that you can
Hey,
be.
First Sergeant. Good morning.
You can do it in the Army.
Now, back to G.I. Joe.
Welcome back after the commercials, of course, or at least welcome back from the commercials. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are out here now with the JG/Well D7 Hall. And I have, of course, the run cam on here for the long-distance shooting, but understand now, I have not adjusted the hop-up at all. I have left the hop-up as is, at the current position it's at, because I'm a little curious exactly what we're looking at. It will be on semi-auto only, and we are at about, say, a standard engagement distance for the woods, about 40, 50 feet, give or take. So I'm going to go ahead, pop in the LiPo, and I'm going to try and hit the target out there, about the barrel at least. Try and hit that barrel out there. I do wish I could set this a little bit more recessed, so I could have got the cover for it, but that ain't fucking happening. Ah, I'm not turning on the run cam first, because I want to see what this does. It hits at the current hop-up setting out of the box, so let's go ahead and turn on the run cam. And see what she's hitting long distance. It's kind of pitiful. I'm going to adjust the hop a bit, so it will be a jump cut here, but I'm going to see how long I can actually get to go. Alright, so I've got the hop-up pulled all the way back. So I'm just going to go for long-distance targets. And I'm just going to see how far, because that tree line back there is about roughly a good distance away, about 90 feet, give or so, about beyond 50 feet, give or so. I'm going to see if it'll reach out that way. We have, of course, the run cam running, so let's see if it will hit out that way, shall we? It's hitting, but it's overhopping at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead, adjust the hop up a little bit more forward a bit. About an inch. Flip to full auto and see what she looks like on full auto. It definitely reached the tree line and is definitely engaging the tree line, which is a good thing. Even went over the tree line a bit. Granted, this with the hop-up at the setting I have it at. Now, after I finagle a little bit, because this is all V3 parts, I have a lot of AK hop-ups, I have a lot of V3 parts themselves, so this is getting upgraded. And with the performance out of the box, it's not that bad. Especially for if you're fighting in the woods, where standard engagement distance is about between 30 to 80 feet, give or take, depending on the rifle. And this is reaching beyond 50 feet, so that is a good thing. So I'm going to say max range for this is about, say, about 100, about 110, give or take. Again, I'm going off of what I'm seeing from my own eyes and what you can see through the run cam here. But, either way though, let's go ahead, take this back inside, and give our final thoughts on it, shall we? In terms of whether this is a good AK or not, pre-upgraded, it's good for what it needs to be in terms of close quarters. This is a good CQB gun, and would be good for CQB, or at least for CQB arenas and outdoor areas. It's shooting under 300, meaning that it's going to fit a lot of rule sets for minimum engagement distances, which is something that a lot of forest arenas are definitely going to have, or a lot of other arenas are definitely going to have. In terms of magazine compatibility, the magazine itself is essentially just a JG magazine, so you can use not only JG magazines, but also other AEG magazines. Be they SEMA, Classic Army, which people apparently have been having issues with Classic Army. Or no, it might not have been Classic Army, it might have been King Arms. I can't remember which mid-caps are having issues with who. GNP, other style of mid-caps is what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen. And, as stated before, with Bakelite at your side, the AK does look rather nice. But, you're asking, what are the glaring issues with it? The glaring issues I'm going to see going forward is definitely the wire placement, but taking off the battery tray and rearranging the wire so it's frontward, that's not an issue I can see happening. It's easy resolve. No, ladies and gentlemen. The big issue I see happening is, of course, that short inner barrel and the hop-up. Now, again, for anyone who has messed or dabbled in anything related to, of course, teching or modification or building your guns in general, that shouldn't be an issue. And won't be an issue for me, because I already know what I'm doing. I'm going to be putting a longer inner barrel in this. I'm going to be putting a redneck flat hop in this. Which, for those of you who don't know what a redneck flat hop is, it is simply taking a piece of rubber band and putting it into the barrel on top of the rubber. That's it. That's perfectly it. Of course, the rubber itself will be replaced with an Elite Force hop-up rubber, so that should be rather interesting. And then finally, the big one is the paint job. I'm going to be taking off the lower handguard here. I'm going to be painting it black. I'm going to be leaving the upper handguard here, well, as is, unless I can replace this with a more tactical handguard, as well as the lower handguard being replaced with a tactical handguard. In that case, well, then we have ourselves an interesting proposition. A tactical AK-74 full-age stock. Another thing I wish they would have done is just has to deal with just minor things. I wish they didn't do all wood on everything, because Lord only knows that in terms of an AK purist or an AK enthusiast, the decisions on this are definitely going to make people lose their fucking mind. I know it caused Ben to lose his mind a little bit, especially with the folding stock right here. I know I lost my mind a little bit because I know they had wooden folding stocks with metal base plates, but the entire thing being wood all the way up to the base plate here, that's what kind of made me lose my mind a little bit. Outside that, though, I am rather impressed. Once you have this thing upgraded and you have all V3 parts in this, that's where things get kind of fun, especially with the little cutout here for a sight system, and they have the spots for it, or at least this is what I'm believing this is. These 3 spots right here being for the sight system. Because again, once I have talk to someone about a rail, or at least being able to add a rail to this, I can have a optics mount over this. So that way I have that classic AK. But again, that's in the future when I can get the ability to get the parts. Because this thing is going to be turned into a sleeper gun. Oh yes. Oh yes. It will. It will. But, till then, ladies and gentlemen, what is my final verdict of the JG AK-74? The final verdict of the JG AK-74 is a solid 7 out of 10 before it's upgraded. It is a 7 out of 10 because of the price tag, number 1, and the performance, number 2. But number 3 has to be just the pure entertainment value out of it. Right now, at the moment, it's entertaining as hell. It's fun as hell. It is entertaining of the manual, the story behind these guns. And I can assure you that in the future I will get the 3rd JG AK. And I will do my evil to it to make it just that much more fun. And this thing would have been 8 out of 10. The polymer body is light enough to where if you are a small player, it's good for you. This is a good starter gun. And I'm not joking on that. This is a good starter gun, and I recommend anyone who's looking to get into AKs to buy this first, and if you're looking to get into teching, then you can build your first sleeper gun off this. I recommend that because, again, it is all version 3 parts internally. And in the sport of airsoft, it doesn't matter how expensive your gun is. It doesn't matter the kind of stuff you throw into it. What matters is the player and their personality. The player and the gun personality. Because as much as AP81 loves to push that purist mindset, that elitist mindset, and yes, I shared your comment on Facebook, and the support I got from that was overwhelming and positive. And I probably will do a read on the comments of that video in the near future, but as it stands, this gun is a 7 out of 10. But once it's upgraded, about an 8. About a 9, give or take, depending on what I do. Because I can remove the front sight here. That is something I think a lot of people have forgotten about these guns, is that you can upgrade these. You can remove the front sight and actually buy a SEMA or another company's AK front sight post, and you can put it on here with the threading and all. You can replace the internals, since they're essentially a polymer version 3 gearbox, so you can do that. You can replace the hop-up and the other lovely things of this, because, again, standard V3. And because this is wired to Tamiya, you can put a Dean's adapter on there and run Dean's out of this. Again, the AK-74 by JG, marketed by Well and distributed by UKARMs, is a solid gun. Just has some rough spots on it. And I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to taking her apart and seeing what makes her tick. And I hope you guys can join me on that journey. But, till then, ladies and gentlemen, we are just getting started in October. And if this is what October is going to hold for me, I look forward to whether or not decent things come in, or horrible amalgamations come about. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to support what we do here on AirsoftAL Reviews, and of course AAA Airsoft Media, then please consider donating to our PayPal down below. If you wish to join me and conversate and have a little fun, then consider, of course, clicking on the Discord link down below. If you go looking on Amazon for this lovely little piece, then you should find it. It goes by Well D74. It is not that hard to find, actually. All you gotta do is go on Amazon, type in Well AK Airsoft, and boom, right there it is. But either way, though, ladies and gentlemen, till next time. Because I fear that as this month goes on, I may either face tribulation, challenges, or even worse. Till next time.